Hello, teachers, parents, and educational leaders, and welcome to this episode of Breaking Down the B.E.S.T. Now, during this episode, you will get a peek into the members-only area where I have tons of resources to help you make math fun, make it click, and make it stick. There should be a link somewhere around this video where you can learn more. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get to it, and let's break down the standard. Welcome to Breaking Down the B.E.S.T, a video series dedicated to breaking down Florida's best standards for math. So grab something to write with and maybe even a snack. This looks good. And don't forget to put a smile on your face. There you go, I see you. And let's dive into today's best standard. Hey everybody, and thank you so much for joining me as we break down the following standard. Today's standard I'm actually super pumped about. It is MA.3.FR.1.3, and this standard says to read and write fractions, including fractions that are greater than 1, using standard form, numeral word form, and word form. So when we are reading, that means that we are able to say it. And writing, that means that we're able to write fractions, to say fractions, to write them properly, including fractions that are greater than 1, for example, 5/4, where our numerator is greater than the denominator. And I put a big old heart for this standard because I love that there is a standard specifically for reading and writing fractions, because all the time, students will see 5/4 and read it as 5/4. 5 line 4 or so they read it kind of wacky, but this is taking time, dedicating time, being intentional about reading and writing fractions correctly. Love it. So in the example it says the fraction 4/3, this is the standard form, the standard way that we would write fractions, can be written in word form as 4/3, and then in numeral word form, which is writing it as a number and then words. Numeral word form would be 4. There's our numeral, and thirds, there's our word, okay? By the way, let me go ahead and point out that this document that I'm marking up all over is not something that I created. This is something that the Florida Department of Education releases to the public. And in these episodes, I'm just showing you how I break down the standards, my thought process for breaking down each and every standard, spending about half of the episode doing that, and then showing you in the second half of this episode what resources that you have available to you that are strategically aligned to this standard that we're going over today. So hang out with me as we break down the standard, and then we'll pop over and show you what resources you have access to. Some clarifications to consider. I love that they keep on pointing out, this is something that you see all the time in these standards, is that understanding that fractions are numbers. They represent a value. And we need to make sure that our denominators are limited to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Now, as we increase in grade levels, those denominator limits will also extend a little bit more than what we're seeing right now. But for right now, that's what we're seeing in 3rd grade. Okay, but what else is horizontally aligned with 3rd grade? Well, 3.FR.1.1 is where we practice representing unit fractions as a set, as an area model on a number line. 3.FR.1.2 in 3rd grade is representing fractions as a sum of those unit fractions. So we said, hey, here's a unit fraction. And now in the next standard, let's use unit fractions to add up to other fractions. Then we have this standard, reading and writing fractions, and in the next episode, we will be plotting, ordering, and comparing fractions. That'll be super fun. There weren't any terms involved here, but I went ahead and I said, okay, you need to understand what the numerator is, and your students need to understand that it describes the amount that is being considered, and the denominator is the total number of equal parts in each whole. Now I have a wrap that goes like this. You see that number on top? That's called the numerator. It describes the amount that is being considered, and when you jump down from the fraction bar denominator, it's the total number of equal parts in each whole. You see that number on top? That's called the numerator. It describes the amount that is being considered. What are we talking about? What do we need to be focusing on? What is shaded? Where is that point on the number line? What are we considering? And then when we jump down from the fraction bar denominator, it's the total number of equal parts in each whole. Where are they coming from in second grade? In second grade, they partition circles and rectangles into halves with a denominator of 2, into thirds with a denominator of 3, and into fourths with a denominator of 4. And then in fourth grade, we have a lot of fourth grade standards. I don't know why they didn't provide, oh, they did. They said FR.1.1, equivalent fractions with denominators of 10 and 100, sure, but really everything that we're doing here today, reading and writing fractions, they're going to need what they learn in third grade with the standard in fourth grade and fifth grade and so on too. Okay, purpose and instructional strategies section. It says the purpose of this benchmark is for students to describe fractions in different ways, and it builds on using precise vocabulary for describing fractions. For instance, when students describe 4/3 as the numeral word form 4/3, they build the understanding that fractions represent 4 parts that are each 1/3 in size. So it's also the expectation of this benchmark that students represent fractions that are greater than 1 as mixed numbers in word form and numeral word form, which we discuss in the bronze video, lessons video number 2. So when we get to showcasing the resources you have access to, I'll show you bronze video number 2. We need to make sure that we are modeling precise and modeling and expect, I love that, and expect precise vocabulary as students describe fractions, because a misconception would be to read it as 1/2, and that's not the correct way to read a fraction. 1/2 should be read as 1/2, or 1 part of 2. And say that they might misinterpret that fractions always model part of 1 whole, but then we have fractions that are greater than 1, which takes some time for students to get acclimated to that idea of fractions that are greater than 1. Here, they have the strategies for support for tiered instruction, and I love this chart right here. I love how they're breaking it down and showing you the different forms. We got the standard form, the numeral word form, the word form, modeling it with an area model, modeling it with a number line, and showing how you build on that all the way over here to 5/4. So definitely take some time to read that. And then here we have instructional tasks and instructional items where you get to see the standard in action. So we have 8/7 being written as 8/7, and then somebody else writing it as 7/8, who's correct. Let's draw a model, write an equation, all of that. And then this is a great example here to represent 8/3, showing how we can include it as an area model to get from 8/3 to 2 2/3 and all of that in the different ways. So of course, A would be a correct answer, B would be a correct answer, and 2 2/3 would be a correct answer for that one that they're giving us. All right, so we've broken down the standard, and now let's see what you have access to with your membership. So we're at the website, McCarthyMathAcademy.com. Click right here and members enter here. Select the taking on the best option. You need to select third grade, and we're working inside of that fraction strand, FR. And we're right here, 3.FR, MA.3.FR.1.3, read and write fractions. When we click on that, it will open up to the bronze resource page. So whether you have the bronze, silver, or gold, everyone has access to this. And we have 2 video lessons here. In the first video lesson, we will practice reading and writing fractions that are less than or equal to 1 whole. And in the second video lesson, we'll practice reading and writing fractions that are greater than 1. And you can see here, this right here is the printable student guide. You just click that, you can download and print right there. And it says to represent each fraction in standard form, numeral word form, and word form, just like the standard said. So students will just watch the video lesson and take down their notes, record their notes as we go. Then we'll get to the fractions greater than 1, where we will incorporate that writing from standard form with a fraction greater than 1 into a mixed number there too. So here you can see how we're breaking it down, going to numeral word, or we're given numeral word form, creating the standard form, creating the word form, modeling it as an area model in order to create that mixed number, okay? So those are your bronze resources, video lessons, student notes. Then we want to make sure that students understand it and that they're able to perform these activities on their own, right? That we're not just relying on the video lesson. So with your silver package, you can click right here for get your silver printables. And then I have the bronze video lessons right here with the extra practice right after it. So it goes video lesson, extra practice, video lesson, extra practice. And then at the end, we have a math mission and math misconception mystery. So here's that video lesson. You can tell because it has that video lesson icon. And here's your extra practice. It looks just like what we did in the video lesson. Then we'll practice the second video lesson, reading and writing fractions greater than 1, where we incorporate that mixed number. Then extra practice for that without a video lesson where students can practice on their own. Then there's a math mission specifically aligned for this standard right here. It says Mr. Mulch is in the middle of painting a room. The model below represents how much of the room he has painted. Write the fraction of the room he has completed painting in standard form. Then write it in numeral word form, and finally write it in just word form. So we're incorporating everything there in a real world setting. And then this one was kind of like the other instructional task item on the standards that we saw that the Florida Department of Education provided. It says select all the ways to represent 5/4. So, this is a math misconception mystery episode. So these are even more fun. So what you do is you just click play right there, and I will guide your students through the entire process. They get to be the detectives here. First, they'll solve the problem on their own, and then they will watch as 4 other characters also solve that same problem. Now, 3 of the characters are going to make a mistake that students commonly make, and only one of them solves it correctly. So they got to listen real carefully to see which character nails it and who is making a mistake. Those characters are just me dressed up in silly costumes with silly accents, and these are so much fun. I'm telling you, once you press play on one of these and roll out one of these episodes, your students are going to be hooked and begging you for more. They're super duper fun. And then they get to put on their thinking caps and really discuss and analyze the answers. Who does the most reasonable answer belong to? And also evaluating the work of the others. What did the characters who made a mistake do that was correct? Highlighting the important bits that they did do something correct. Identifying their error, and then understanding what they might need to know for next time. So they're super fun here. And of course, you've got the answer keys for all of your silver resources right there. Again, bronze is the video lesson. The silver is the extra practice with the math mission, that math task, and math misconception mystery, the mystery detective episode. Okay, now if you have the gold plan, you have access to even more. So let's click it and see what you got. You can go back to those video lessons and extra practice pages at any time. And you also have the mini assessment for every single standard. It's about 4 to 5 questions depending on the standard, a variety of question types specifically addressing this standard. Your county probably provides you with mini assessments or assessments, unit assessments that you need to give out. But when you're looking at your data and you're saying, okay, well, so-and-so needs help with this standard, you can easily just go here, pick the standard that you need, and use the video lessons to teach them. Use the extra practice pages to make sure that they understand it. And then using these as additional mini assessments to see if they have it. Also, they say show what you know. So if you want to just use it as extra practice, you can do that too. It doesn't say mini assessment on it for the student. Answer key is right here. Also, gold members have these breaking down the best episodes that you're watching right here with all of the other resources for every single standard. Now, these episodes are also available on YouTube. They just contain ads. So just know that it's a bonus perk for being a gold member to have everything right there. But the biggest reason why most people go with the gold package is because of McCarthy Math 155. This is a daily math intervention that's aligned to the standards we used to have, the Common Core standards. And as you're getting familiar with the B.E.S.T standards, you probably notice that there are some differences, but there's a lot of skills that do just trickle right over, okay? So if you know that you have students that need extra help, you can go to McCarthy Math 155 if you have the gold package. And the 155, that stands for 155 additional video lessons that you get for every single grade level. So 3rd grade, click right here, and you can see the different units, place value, adding and subtracting numbers, multiplication, Down here, you can see how many video lessons there are for that unit. We're working on fractions, so let's go here. Look, there's 24 video lessons on fractions. And when we click there, here we can go with that introduction. And this first introduction to fractions, I'm going to pull up that page because this is the rap that I started singing at the beginning of this episode. You see that number on top? That's called the numerator. It describes the amount that is being considered. And when you jump down from the fraction bar, denominator, it's the total number of equal parts. I used to say, sure, love me some fractions, but now I say in each whole. Okay, and then in this, we're practicing, here they are in standard form, reading it in word form, and it might also be known as something else right here. So it's just another way to do it. You also notice that there's a time problem for every single episode because in 3rd grade, they need as much time practice as they can get. There's tons of video lessons though, modeling fractions, recording fractions of shapes, modeling fractions on a number line. So just additional practice. So if you know that you have students that are struggling, you have tons of video lessons that you can continue to push out to them, giving them a safe place for them to learn and master while you are working with other students too. All right, I think that's it. I hope that this episode today made sense for you, that now you feel like you understand this standard, you understand what it's expecting your students to be able to do, and also you understand what you have access to with your taking on the B.E.S.T membership. Before we go, let me remind you that what you wake up and you do every single day with your life, it really does matter. Thank you so much for stepping into the best version of yourself every single day, because you are showcasing and inspiring your students to do the same. And also, thank you so much for inviting me into your educational space. I love what I get to do. I love that I get to support you. So thank you for that. And I hope to see you in the next Breaking Down the B.E.S.T episode real soon. All right. Bye. Okay, so I know that I just said goodbye for now, but I'm going to ask you to do one more thing, okay? If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with your teacher friends or other leaders in education. That's how I get to continue doing what I love to do, which of course is supporting you all to the best of my ability. All right, for real now. Bye.